has his struggles. He has his doubts. And then this one, Jesus enters the picture. And Jesus begins a conversation, a relationship, if you will, with this man. Trying to figure out what is it for him that he needs. And the man tells his story about not making it into the pool, about his inability to walk or walk fast enough. And he's paralyzed, in a sense, by his own fear. But Jesus meets him where he is at and tells him to stand, to take your mat and go on his way. It becomes another powerful witness and testimony in the Scripture as this one who has sat at the gate now is moved to a place of new life and new promise. The vision expands. All of a sudden, the worldview that he had is changed. Much like the worldview that Lydia had when she first encounters the disciples. Their lives will never be the same again. And they enter into a current of water that is about hope, about new life, and about healing. And some of that chaos, that frustration, that hurt that has been there in their life is stripped away. And at least in that moment and for that moment, a new vision emerges. The gates are no longer shut. The waters of healing are seen as flowing through this one, this Christ who walks with them and among them, whose story is told within their household. A powerful, powerful witness. How do we see that stream taking place in our lives today? Inviting us into new faith or renewed faith. How do we see that stream touching our lives that we find healing? That those places of brokenness, of chaos, of weeping are let go. And a new realm of being emerges. Over the course of this week, a group of us from Calvary went out to Excelsior. And we sat as part of a luncheon with a group of folks committed to bringing clean water in Haiti. The organization is called Haiti Outreach, and it's something that I've been involved with now for 5 years. And I remember my first trip to Haiti. There we went, and our job actually wasn't involved with the water. We were doing painting and projects that were building projects. But what we did is we went to the spring that had been put in by this organization, to one of the springs. And there, flowing from the water, was new life. There were children lined up with bread bags and plastic containers to carry water back to their homes, that they would have water to drink, for cooking, and for bathing. And while for us it seemed so small and so minuscule in so many ways, for them it was new life. It took away hours of having to walk to the river and try to load up water from the river. It took away some of the diseases that people were catching from the water in the river. And all of a sudden, this spring was giving new life and new hope to children, to women, and to families. And all of this time that they used to have to spend walking to get to the river was converted into the possibility of employment. It was converted into caring for each other in new ways. The water flowed. The tears, while not gone, were lessened. And new hope took shape. For us, we recognize that water becomes a way of new life being made known among us, and that the gates are open a little wider. And we follow in the ways of this woman, Lydia, who hears the word and shares it with others. We follow in the ways of this man who is healed, who then encounters the rulers, the scribes, and tells his story, which of course we know is going to lead into some further conversation with it happening on the Sabbath. But we see this creative vision taking shape, and we are invited to dream in new ways. Now, beyond the international, the question becomes, how does that river flow through this sanctuary and out into the world? We have been talking about the mini farmers market here, recognizing that there's a shortage of fresh food in much of South Minneapolis. Our application is in. We hope to hear in a couple of weeks. That will become a place of community and of building if we allow it to be. And if we engage in that process and welcome those who are all around. We continue to lift up education and care with the Urban Arts Academy. We've begun thinking about what it would mean to work with other churches on healthcare issues, what it will mean to address the topics of immigration and race, both in our congregation and in our community. That the gates might be opened as the sun and the moon shine down, always. If you have a dream or a vision, I invite you to share it with one another, to share it with me, to share it with the council. That we might continue visioning toward the future, that this new life is made known. That this place lives into its witness, where the good word, the good news is shared, where healing takes place. And we follow in the ways of the saints who have gone before us. The women, the men, the households who live into Jesus' love, Jesus' commitment to